Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody doing today? How is everyone doing today? Just waiting for it to go live in the group. Good morning. I hope everyone is doing well. It is Tuesday, Transformational Tuesday, and we are live. We are live this morning. This morning we're live. Hey, we're on Transformational Tuesday, life lessons, daily intention. We know life is an acronym, right? Love of self, interactions, focus, and emotions or energy. So let's take our breath. This is your time, our time together, right? No pressure, just presence. I just want to welcome you back to Project Life, where we turn theory into practice. Okay. Now, before I start off, you already know what to do. Drop one word that is describing how you feel today. One word that is describing how do you feel this morning, this transformational Tuesday morning. I'm excited about our conversation. So today, my word is going to be excitement, right? Yeah, just excited about this is our third week together, and I'm looking forward to the many other weeks. I'm looking forward to the themes of the month, and we know what this month's theme is. It is lemons, right? This lemons condition that I studied in my dissertation. If you guys are new here, I am Dr. Sheila Little, uh, licensed master social worker, licensed clinical therapist, and a business psychologist. And yeah, and I am excited about this conversation because I think that we really need to understand this lemons condition that we have consequently become, right? So we lack the energy, the motivation, the organizational, operational skills, necessary supports, and skill sets to really transform our life, right? And so the whole goal of Project Life is to help us to turn theory, the stuff that we're hearing on social media, how does that apply to me in my everyday walk, in my everyday practice, right? We use biblical wisdom to support that. And then that's phase one. Phase two is that we go into our coaching, right? So you can get a part, you can become a part of the growth group, right? Where we have weekly sessions that really go more in depth about what we've talked about over the week. So if you want to become a part of that community where we're one-on-one, you're talking to me, some stuff has come up for you throughout the sessions and you're like, I really want to talk about that more. I think that program is $47 a month. And then you can go into legacy, right? Where you get the emotional intelligence training. I say that growth is like your lab, right? So you're able to really talk through and make this theory into practice in your life, right? And so as a group, we work collectively together. I do meet with all of my clients before they come into the group to really, see what the goal is, have that in mind for you. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Okay, Pep. Pep said he feeling optimistic. I'm feeling optimistic for you too, Pep. Okay. So yesterday, we uncovered the stories that we tell ourselves, right? The beliefs that have shaped how we see ourselves, our worth, what we think is possible for our lives, right? That was a great conversation. If you think that was a great conversation, put a two in the chat button. Okay. So we talked about our stories, how they shape our lives, and they also determine what triggers fear within us, right? So these stories that we tell ourselves, they don't just shape our lives, they also determine what we trigger. If we've been conditioned to believe that perfectionism is the standard, then any mistake or uncertainty becomes a trigger of self-doubt. If our story, right, if our story is that we always must be in control, then that is going to create an unknown situation that might trigger some type of threat, right? If I need to be in control and, in this situation, I can't control it, then I might feel threatened a little bit, right? So on yesterday, we uncovered these false narratives, right, around perfectionism and things like that keep us striving for an unattainable version of success. And so today, right, we will address how those deep seated fears, right, get triggered when we step outside of our comfort zone. Listen, the truth is that fear is not a problem. Has never been the problem. It is really how we respond to it that matters. Listen, your story doesn't just sit there, right? Your stories don't just sit there, right? They activate these emotions and these patterns and these reactions, right? And that's what we're tackling today. Triggers. Okay. The moments that make fear rise up and try to keep us stuck. All right. So I want you to imagine somebody, right? Maybe an artist or a creative or something like that with the dream to showcase their work, right? They're very talented, passionate, and has everything they need to succeed. But every time they start filling out of application, right, fear starts to kick in, right? Every time they go to fill out an application or apply for a job, a gig, or something like that, fear kicks in. And these are the thoughts that come up. What if they reject me, right? I'm not good enough yet. Maybe I should wait until I can do it better, right? That voice, that's not reality. That's a trigger response from an old story. So maybe this individual, right? We're going to call him James. So maybe James grew up believing that failure meant he was not good enough or that he had to be perfect to be worthy of success. And now every time he tries to take action, fear is triggered and tells him to stop. Why does this matter for today's conversation? And more importantly, why does this matter for you? Think about your own life. Where has fear stopped you before? Where has fear stopped you before? Maybe it's in your career, your relationships, right? Your personal goals. The truth is, fear is not a stop sign. It is not a stop sign, my friends. It's just a trigger trying to keep you comfortable. Remember, the brain primary goal is to keep you comfortable. So if you've been doing this same thing or been in the same type of relationships or been around the same people, there's a level of comfortability, even if you're uncomfortable. The brain knows what to expect and it's telling you a story. If you say that, then they're going to say this. Oh, that's such and such, and that's how they're going to respond. And you have already equipped yourself with the coping skills, healthy or not healthy, to really manage that situation. All right. But when you step out and now you're talking to new people and this is a new space or a new opportunity, right? When you do that, now the brain doesn't have the information. So this fear really pops up. It is a normal response. All right. So fear is not there to stop you. It's just there to trigger you and letting you know like, hey, we got to get back to our comfort zone. But today we're shifting how we respond to fear so we can really move forward in confidence. All right. So let's get into this conversation. I want you to drop a heart in the chat if you're ready to break free of your fears today. Drop a heart in the chat for me. All right. So listen, this is how we're going to kick off today with this powerful quote. Okay. This quote says that everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Everything that you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Okay. So let's talk about something that has stopped too many of us from taking action. Just too many of us, right? This thing called fear. Fear of what? Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of making a wrong decision, right? Fear of not knowing, right? Fear has this like sneaky way of keeping us stuck, okay? But today we're not just talking about fear. All right. We're taking our power back. We're going to take our power back. All right. So I got a question for you. What triggers fear in your life? Drop it in the chat. What is some things um, that trigger fear in you? All right. Fear isn't random, right? It's a response to something deeper. So today I want you to identify what activates fear in you so that you can stop it from making your decisions. We have allowed fear to become the driver in our life. If I feel scared, then I'm sophisticatedly going to allow myself to make up an excuse, to create a narrative, to do something so that I don't have to do that thing that's making me feel this way in my body. Now remember, and you're going to start hearing me say this, we are sensational beings, right? Oh, so a part of this sinfulness that we have, I always look at that word sin, and I think it's so interesting that that's sensational, right? Starts with this. And what is a predominantly a lot of our quote unquote sins around, right? These emotions, right? We get angry, we do something, right? We like food, right? The sensation of really liking to eat, right? Our sensations around whatever, right? We are sensational beings, meaning we have an emotions and we have feelings. What has happened along the way, though, is that we have become numb to these sensations, right? Or we have accommodated, opted out of becoming sensationalized, right? Or we have become so overly sensationalized that, we're not even self-aware anymore. Okay. All right. So how many times have you stopped yourself from doing something because fear whispered up in you, right? Gave you this little sensation or this big sensation, made your heart race, got loud in your ear, right? What if this doesn't work, right? What if they say something? What if you fall? What if you drop the ball, right? How many times has fear really came up and whispered that? Listen, the truth is, fear isn't real danger. It is not. It is just a mental block, but your brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain doesn't know that, hey, this ain't real, right? This is no real danger for me. I am still safe. Even in my expansion, right? I am still safe. But because the brain feels the sensation of my heart racing, this new environment, my mind trying to capture everything, the brain now starts to respond as if it's real. All right. So when we let fear make our decisions, we actually reinforce the idea that taking risks, doing something different, growing, transforming, challenging ourselves, right? All of these are unsafe, even when it's only for the sole purpose for you to grow, right? I want to say that again. When we let fear make decisions for us, all right, we reinforce the idea that taking risk, whatever that risk is, having a conversation, doing the thing that we desire, traveling to the state, right? Getting married, becoming single, whatever that thing is, the fear, that risk, the fear makes us feel like it's unsafe, even when it's there, that opportunity is there to help us grow. All right. What this means for you is that if you wait until you feel fearless, if you wait until you feel fearless before you take an action, listen, you'll be waiting forever. Listen, confidence does not come before action. It comes because of our actions. Confidence does not come before action. It actually comes because of our action. Confidence is a consequence of our competencies. Okay. What that means is that the more I do something, the more confident I become. The more I communicate, the more confident I get with communicating. The more I challenge myself, the more confident I get about challenging myself. The more I take action, the more confident I am with taking action. So confidence doesn't become before we take the action. But a lot of us is waiting, right, until we become fearless. You know, when this fear subsides, and again, back to yesterday's conversation of perfectionism, right? What is perfectionism a consequence of? Fear. It is a sophisticated way that we're trying to manage our fears. All right. Listen, you deserve a life where fear doesn't make your choices for you. Right. Imagine what would happen if instead of listening to your fear, you listen to your faith. Instead of asking, what if I fail? What if you start asking, what if I succeed? What if this turns out great? Right? That shift from fear to faith is what fuels our motivation. And remember, this week we're talking about what? Motivation, right? And sometimes our motivation is being ciphered because we're asking, what if I fail? What if I don't get this right? What if they laugh at me? What if she says no? What if they reject me? What if I lose all my money, right? In that investment, right? We're asking the questions that is keeping us stuck. And remember, when we ask our mind questions, what does it do? It gives us the answer back that we are asking. So if I say, what if they reject me? A whole story is going to come up in my mind that supports that. Oh, this going to happen and then that's going to happen, right? The same is true on the other side though. What if I succeed? Now I gotta tussle through those emotions. What if I succeed? What if they say yes? Right? What if I get the promotion? What if I get the dream life that I desire? Now, guess what? Both sides are emotional. Both sides are emotional. A lot of us say we have a fear of success, but guess what? I mean, a lot of us say we have a fear of failure, but guess what? Some people say they have a fear of success because when I ask myself the what if I succeed question, right? That is also change. That is also evolution. That is also expanding, right? Now, how am I going to handle this change? And so our principal verse today. Okay. And I'll put it up earlier because I think that if I do the principal verse, right, that it could set the tone for the rest of the conversation. So our principal verse today, after asking this what if question, right, changing what if I fail to what if I succeed, changing what if I get it wrong to what if I get it right, what if I lose my money to what if I 10 times my salary, right, by taking this opportunity. What if it hurt? Well, what if it's pleasurable, right? Because we can't have a one-sided situation, right? I heard Golden, and you're gonna hear me quote him a lot, say you haven't seen a one-sided slice of bread. You haven't seen a one-sided coin, right? Because nothing in life only has one side. That's the point, right? So if you can ask yourself the what if I fail, you can also ask yourself the what if I succeed. If you can ask yourself, what if it hurt? Then you can also say, well, what if it feels good? Because we're talking about the future, right? And if our words create our reality, then why am I not asking myself questions so that I can develop the language for the optimism, to be more optimistic, to be more faith filled versus asking questions to perpetuate doubt. All right. So our principal verse, and remember, we're using Bible biblical wisdom. Why? Because the Bible is not just a book about religion, right? The Bible is a book about promises. The Bible is a book about parables, principles, and patterns, right? We see these all through the Bible, right? And so we're taking these principles out the Bible. Why? So they can serve as a roadmap as we transform. And then we use the promise, right? So that we can have something to stand on. so that we can have something to hope for. Okay? So be strong and courageous. Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. For God, right, is with you wherever you go. So do not be strong and courageous. I'm sorry. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged because God is with you wherever you go. What does this mean? That fear is normal, right? But you don't have to let it control your life. Listen, the source doesn't promise the absence of fear. You know, what this scripture is saying is that even though, right, you feel that you have a comforter there with you, right? So fear does not come from God, but courage does, right? If God is the source of all things with us, okay, then we have the courage, right? We already have the power to take the action, the love to trust the process, and the clarity to move forward. We already have those things. You don't have to wait until you're fearless, right? Or till you feel fearless. You just have to trust that God, okay, is with you, or that God will send the right people to you as you start to journey off. All right. And the key takeaway from this is that God doesn't create you to really live in fear, right? He didn't create these beautiful, wonderful vessels that these 750 billion cells that's working without me even thinking, right? My heart is pumping, the blood is going, my immune system is doing what it's supposed to do, my reticular activation system is seeing what I've trained it to see, right? All of these things, God didn't create that to throw it away, right? There is a unique design to us, right? And so when we take on this principle, we have something to hold on to. And remember, God created us to be beautifully, right? Created us to live boldly, to take up space, and to walk in this faith, right? In this belief, in this anticipation that everything is working for my good. Good morning, Dale. All right. So imagine if fear wasn't a roadblock, but a green light to move forward. How would your life change? Ask yourself that. Listen, if fear was like not a stop sign or a roadblock, if it was like the reason why I should move, how would my life change? How many opportunities would I finally take? All right. Fear doesn't mean stop, right? It means go anyway. Okay, so I want to share this story with you because I had one of my clients, right? They were applying for this leadership role at their job. And she kept telling herself that she just wasn't ready. But when she would come to the session, she would just talk about how the people were like not adequate and how she knew she could do this job. But she just wasn't ready. She didn't feel like she had the education. You know, she asked the what if questions. What if I fail? What if they say no? Right. So finally, after just really holding her to the line, right? Really making her do some things to feel comfortable. You know what? She decided to apply. Not because, here's the thing, not because she wasn't afraid, because she was so afraid. We had a session right after that because she was just so scared. But she decided to go because she wanted to stop letting her fear, right, control her. Not only did she get that position, y'all, right? But she gained this confidence in herself because now she's like in her gift. She's doing things. She has seen that role from like the outside, and now she's in it. And her growth didn't just come from eliminating fear, right? Her growth didn't come from her waiting to become fearless. You know, it came from moving with the fear. Okay. A study from the University of California found that 91% of fears never actually happen. 91% of the things that we tell ourselves, these devastating things, right, that we tell ourselves actually never happen. Yet they stop so many people, right, from actually taking the action every day. This study also found that when people take action despite their fears, I'm going to say like with their fears, right, their brain builds neural pathways, right, that increase their confidence over time. What that means is that when we face our fears, when we go with our fears, when we start asking the what if optimistic question, right? What if I succeed? What if I win? What if I do learn this new skill? What if I learn how to do that thing that that is required to shift my life, right? The stronger their ability to take action becomes. So listen, the more you move in the face of your fear, the stronger your ability to take action. So Dale said, "Yep, I've been there." Yeah, and I've been there too, Dale, where I was nervous, trembling, scared, but I went with my fear, and I'm so glad that I did, because the big monsters in my head that came up that said all of this crazy stuff was gonna happen never turned out. All right, so we have to move with our fear. Fear has held us back long enough. Okay, so if you're ready to take action, even if you're scared, drop a heart in the chat for me. All right. And say yes to yourself, like to moving forward today. All right. Um, Here's the thing. Fear isn't random, right? It's a response to something different, like I said earlier. So I want to give you some language and want to give you some ideas about what some of the things that we fear, right? That's really blocking our motivation. Our first fear is just the fear of failure, right? It holds us back because we worry that if we try and fail, it will prove, listen, if I try and I fail, it will prove, right, that I wasn't good enough. It will prove that what my mama said about me was true. It will prove what all the naysayers said about me. It will prove that I wasn't ready anyway. Okay. So this fear of failure, a lot of times we're not doing a thing because a lot of us have gotten scrutinized in our life. What we ain't gonna be, what ain't gonna happen. Yep, you going out and doing this thing, and you only gonna fall flat on your face. And so a lot of times we're stopping ourselves from doing the thing because we don't want to prove other people right. Right? We believe their truth, their doubt, right, about us, and so we are scared to prove them right. Right? Um, Here's the thing: instead of procrastinating, right? Instead of trying, let me say this, instead of trying, we procrastinate, we avoid taking the action, we give ourselves excuses. I want to reframe that. Listen, failure isn't proof of my that I'm not capable. You know what failure is proof of? It's proof that I'm growing. Because in life, sometimes we have to lose to win, right? That's either a lesson or a blessing. I lost. What did I learn so I can apply it the next time? All right. Our second trigger is this fear of judgment, right? We hesitate to take action because we're worried about what others may think, right? So we stay in our comfort zone. We play small, right? Instead of truly stepping into our full potential. Put a one in the chat if that makes sense, right? We will stay in our comfort zone so we don't make other people uncomfortable, right? Because we got a fear of being judged as being too much or being too smart or being too confident, right? So we just stay comfortable and we play small. And I'm going to say this: when you play the role of small and you big, that's uncomfortable in itself. When you act like your ideas are small, but you was built with big ideas, that's uncomfortable itself. So you're suffering because you are worried about, if I truly stood up to be the 12-foot individual, and I use 12-foot but if I truly stood up to be the 12-foot person or the big person or the fullness of the mustard tree or the fullness of who God created me to be, right, what they gonna say? And I just say, listen, I don't know nobody. This life is not a one-sided coin. So, yep, you may get some people that gonna say something. You may get some people that's going to be jealous or do or feel. But guess what? Because life ain't one sided, you're going to get some cheer. You're going to get some cheerleaders, right? What if you get cheerleaders? What if you get the friends that you've always desired? What if you start to build the relationships because now you 12 foot so you can see, your elevation level, your line of sight is different, right? And so now you're attracting different type of relationships. And even in the same relationships you have, they start to shift and support you, right? We can't say the what if negative without saying the what if positive. Both of those are possible and both of them exist. Then we train our brain on what do I want to pay attention to, right? And we can reframe this by saying other people's opinion of my responsibility. Listen, it's not my business, right? Other people's opinion of me is not my business, nor is it my responsibility. You know what is my growth? All right. And our last fear is the fear of unknown. This is huge, right? The fear of the unknown. You want a guarantee before you step forward. I want to know that 1 + 1 is 2. It's like very logical. Like if I go in and do this interview, I want to know that they're going to hire me. If I go and call this person and ask them out on a date, I want to know that they're going to say yes, right? If I have this conversation, sometimes we're not even having the difficult necessary conversations with people because we're trying to figure out in our head, how can I have this conversation with this other individual where they, one, hear what I say, do what I want them to do, right? And then don't feel like, right? So we're building a conversation in our head to be able to control the outcome, right? Because I need to know that this person is not going to be upset, that they're going to what I desire. And that's not, listen, we're always living in the unknown. Always. Right? I don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. That's an unknown space to me. I can project, I can assume, I can have faith, right? When I sit down in the chair, I don't know that the chair is going to hold me. That's an unknown to me, but I'm establishing that faith will. When I get in my car, I don't know what's going to happen when I go from here to my trainer, right? I don't know what's going to happen, but I have faith that I'm going to get from here to my trainer. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, put a 3 in the chat. All right. I want you guys to know that instead of wanting a guarantee before we take the first step, let's just take the step. Let's get the data, right? And then let's do the changing that needs to change, because clarity comes from action, not from overthinking. All right. So I want you to think about this. Which one of these fears have been controlling you? Which one of the fears that I'm talking about today have been controlling you? Okay. And that's going to be the first step that you can take to really break the awareness. Okay. Break free and become aware. All right. Let's go into our Bible promise, right? Our biblical wisdom. Now, remember the principle was that, let me find the principle. The principle was that, I can't find it. But the promise, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, right? For God is with me. This is the 23rd Psalms, right? 23 and 4, right? And if we know the 23rd Psalms, it says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lay down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for God is with me, right? This verse is all about movement. It doesn't say if I walk through a difficult, it doesn't say if we walk through a difficult situation. It says when, right? Which challenges fear as a part of our journey, which means that challenges and fear are a part of our journey, but we are not alone. It is a reminder that fear doesn't have to paralyze us, that God is in every step that we take. All right. And here's how these two verses really connect with motivation and triggers. All right. Psalms 23 and 4 reminds us that fear is a part of the journey, but we don't have to stop moving. The verse doesn't say, I won't go through dark places. It says, even though I go through, even though I walk through the valley, right, of the shadow of death. This means that we will face uncertainty, fears, and obstacles, but stopping isn't the answer. Fear is not a stop sign, you guys. It is a sign that we are moving through growth. All right. So instead of seeing fear as something to avoid, right? We start to see we start seeing it as a neutral part of stepping into our new levels. For example, you're about to apply for a job that you really want and fear kicks in. What if I'm not good enough? Instead of backing out, let's start saying, I'm walking through this, right? I'm going to go through this process, learn what I need to learn because fear doesn't get to make a decision for me. Okay? When fear tries to make you hesitate, please remind yourself that I keep moving even in my uncertainty because I am not walking alone. All right? Okay? Because another promise is that God has given us a spirit. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. That's Second Timothy 1:7, right? I'm not walking alone because God has not given us a spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind, right? Fear is not from God. Power is, all right? You already have everything you need. In our principal verse, Timothy reminds us that fear is not a part. Second Timothy 1:7, that fear reminds us that fear is not a part of our design, but confidence is, right? Fear might show up, but it's not what we were created to operate from. This verse reminds us that we already have the power, the love, right? And the sound mind. The power is our strength, the love is the support, and the sound mind is the clarity. Fear tries to block our motivation by convincing us that we are weak, alone, and confused. But this but the truth is, we already have everything we need. So instead of waiting to feel ready, right, we act from this confident, from the place of confidence that we already have what it takes. Okay. So when doubt starts to creep in, you encounter with it. I don't operate from fear. I already have everything I need. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, drop a 4 in the chat. All right. Drop a 4 in the chat if that makes sense. Because when our fears are triggered, we start to do things like create stories of perfectionism. I need to be 100% right. We become very controlling, right? We have these fears of rejection. It literally sets off a whole, like a domino effect. And we have the power with these Bible verses in is that we have the power that's already in us, the love, the power, the sound mind. We have the yea though I'm walking promise that yea though I'm walking through the valley of this death, of this fear, I shall fear no evil. So we are already designed and equipped to do the thing. What's coming up in my spirit is kind of like a car. We're not getting in a car, starting the engine for the parts to come together. Are we? Right. We're not getting in the car and saying, okay, now let's put the engine in. Now let's put the transmission in. Now let's put all the parts of the car together. We're getting in the car as the vehicle that's going to take us from point A to point B because that vehicle already has everything it needs to take us from point A to point B. Okay. That is what these scriptures are saying. It is saying, hey, I've already equipped you. You are a well-built machine. And in you, in your engine, how you run, in your transmission, how you switch gears, right? You already have it. And then are you taking now the gas? because on the journey, we need the fuel, right? And if you are using the what if negative fuel, right, you're going to get the little put-puts in your engine. Your car going to break down because the what you're feeding it, the fuel that you're using is not creating the motivation. It's creating uncertainty. But if you, listen, get into the vehicle that was designed to carry you through this life, and this vehicle is the spiritual side of you, the physical side of you, and the emotional man, all right? If you get into this vehicle that was designed, right, in power, in love, in soundness, right? Because the verse says, I created you, um, that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind, right? So if I'm created in power, which is strength, in love, which is I already had a support, in the sound mind, I already had a clarity. If that's how my vehicle is built, and I'm putting the right petroleum in it, the right gas, because I'm asking the what ifs. What if this is amazing? What if this is going to be a great thing? I'm getting the supports that I need. I'm enrolling into programs like Project Life. I'm listening to my affirmations in the morning. I'm journaling. So I'm fueling myself, right? With the things that will take me on this journey. And we know that one take the gas won't take us. Listen, it won't take us to everywhere we go. That's why we go and we stop and we get more gas. So today's manna, today's life lesson is going to fuel me for today. And I show back up tomorrow between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Why? So I can get the fuel for the day. And then I do the things throughout the day to continue to fuel me because I'm on a journey. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, put a 5 in the chat. All right. Put a 5 in the chat. So I want you to write down one fear-based what if thought that has been holding you back. Okay. Now flip it into an empowering what if thought. For example, like I said earlier, what if I fail? Well, what if I succeed beyond my wildest dreams? Listen, you don't get to decide you get to decide, which what if you focus on, right? So choose the one that fuels you, not the one that drains you. Use the Choose the one that provides you with anticipation, that invigorates you, that energizes you, that motivates you, not the one that leaves you in doubt, leaves you anxious and fearful to do the thing that you want to do, not the thing that your friends want you to do, or your mama wants you to do, or your boss wants you to do. Not to say that those things aren't sufficient, right? But the things that you want to do. Because if you want to do it, trust that you have the vehicle, you were built in a way to make that happen. All right. So if that resonated with you, put a 6 in the chat. Okay. So today's affirmation. Okay. Today's affirmation. You can screenshot this affirmation so that you can listen to it, so it can be a part of your fuel today. Fear does not control me. I move forward with courage, confidence, and faith. I take action even when I'm uncertain because I trust that everything is working for my good. Fear does not control me. I move forward with courage, confidence, and faith, and I take action even in my uncertainty because I trust that everything is working for my good. All right. And then our daily intention. And remember, the affirmation is affirming the positive space, right? Really helping us to change our language. And then the intention, right, is the roadmap. And so today, we can screenshot this one too. Today, I choose action over fear. I trust myself. I trust my growth. And I trust that I am capable. I choose action over fear. I trust myself, I trust my growth, and I trust that I am capable. You guys know what to do. If today's session resonated with you, drop a fire in the chat and let's celebrate our growth. And remember, if you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your life. If you're ready to break free from fear and start moving forward towards your goal, listen, Project Life is where we turn theory into practice, which means we're turning hesitation into action. All right. So let's do this thing together and join this community today, right? The link will be in the caption because this is Project Life, right? Where we turn theory into practice. Listen, take one small action a day, something that fear has been telling you to avoid. And then if you could do me a favor, come back and share it in the comments or DM me about it. And let's have a conversation. I love you guys. I am excited about tomorrow's conversation where we're going to be discussing obstacles. All right. I hope that this resonated with you. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And I hope that this week you are taking the small actions that will eventually give you a big return. You be great and you be well. Till later.